Welcome to Worship Culture with your host, Sewa, a podcast where we unravel God's intent for worship beyond a Sunday service. Lean in as we discover our identity as worshipers and shakers of culture. Hey, worshipers, welcome back to the Worship Culture podcast. It's your girl, your host, your favorite person, Showa, and I'm back again on episode 10, the very last episode of season 1. It's bittersweet, but I really want to appreciate you guys for tuning in every time this podcast would come on, whether it's from the beginning or this is your very first one. I appreciate all of you guys equally. I also want to shout out all my guests, from Ryan to Angelina to Timmy to Tiffany the creative. All of you guys are awesome, and I love and appreciate you guys. Thank you for supporting the brand as a whole, for buying your t-shirts, your hoodies, all of that good stuff. I love you. Truly, I do. And I don't want to waste too much time. I want to dive right into this episode. We are talking to The Bridge, and I'm going to start off saying that I'm their number one fan. So I'm going to be fangirling the entire time. So yeah, they talk about songwriting. I couldn't get all of them at once, so I have two of them on this episode, and they talk about songwriting. They talk about a few things, a writer's block, a lot of vulnerability on this episode. So stay tuned. It's gonna be a really good one. So, ladies and gentlemen, I have superstars here with me. I am getting a tattoo on my forehead of bridge music because I'm a super fan.
Wild.
And I'm pretty sure the podcast knows this. If you listen to the podcast, you would know.
Guys, I listen every single episode.
No, you don't.
Every episode I listen.
You're not even
Shows.
live yet, Reg. You're not even on yet. But I digress. How are you guys feeling? Bridge Music is in the studio here with
We're
me.
in the building. I'm feeling incredible. I'm so honored to be here with my two favorite people on this planet Earth.
What's your name?
Josiah. That's my name. I'm lying. It's Reggie. I'm Reggie here. Reginald, Kojo, Dartey is here in the building in the flesh with
Melissa. It's really good to be here.
It's
I'm
awesome
so
to be here. Melissa is super talented. She is the songwriter of the year.
no cap.
She is amazing, incredible writer. Doesn't she write other things too? What else do you write besides songs?
I mean, I be writing stories and, plays sometimes.
Plays. What was I doing at like 18, 19?
Please.
Biting my nails. And you guys are such talented people under like 20.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Glory to God, man.
Super young, super creative, super talented. I have a few questions for you guys. How many projects do you have out at the moment?
Oh Jesus.
I mean, I know, but for the viewers.
Okay, so are we talking like singles included and like
Probably like albums, I guess.
Okay, so like bodies of work, we have 3, and I'm so proud of every single one of them. So we have a clips that we released on Halloween of 2018. That was pretty cool.
That's really cool.
And then January 31st of 2020, we released Meditations of the Heart. This is like our official album because the Eclipse was like an EP more. And we released our first mixtape. Yeah, we
so dope.
released our first mixtape, which is Vulnerable Volume 1, and that's what's currently also, guys, go get it.
Go stream it.
Shameless plug.
Speaking of music, I'm gonna get you guys to get into press play. We do that on this show. 3 songs. I mean 4 for you guys because you're special.
Oh God.
4 songs that you're currently listening to right now in this season. So let's get into press play. Okay, Mel, we're gonna start with you. 2 songs that you listen to in this season.
2 songs. I would have to say my first one would be Available by Elevation Worship.
That's a good song.
That's a great pick.
That song really does something to me. Like, I don't know what they were on when they wrote it, but it really brings me to that place.
Right.
I love the lyricism. I love the really simple melody. You could just sing along with it, It sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Second song, I would probably have to say this one is not released yet, guys. I'm just gonna promote Campus Rush.
Exclusive.
This is an exclusive. You know, if you watch Campus Rush every single week, like you guys should be doing,
No cap.
you would know about the song. I don't know if it has a name yet.
We don't have a name for it yet. I don't
I'll
think.
call it Adonai because that's what.
Big track.
And I am just so moved by it every
Right.
single time that I hear it, especially that second verse. That
Yeah,
second verse when it
yeah,
comes
yeah.
I
on,
can't even think about that song. I'm
Yeah.
about to get slain.
right? And I
Like,
get so upset that it's like not on my phone yet. So you guys really need to
You
get
guys
on
are gonna
that,
have to
you
wait
know?
for that.
Oh
Yo,
man.
Patience
Fellas,
is a virtue.
I was, for the first time ever, I was like super active in the Campus Rush live chat,
Right.
and they were absolutely going crazy talking about release Adonai now, release it now. And
I think I sold them a false
you
dream
were
because I'm
really
like,
lying to
yeah,
them
like it's
because
coming out real soon.
Oh man.
I was like, guys, don't believe her. It's not dropping. These guys like to lie to me. No, but I love that song. That song's so great.
What about you? What's on your playlist?
I've been listening to Upper Room's latest album
Mm-hmm.
that I think they released in like April, I believe, of 2020, and it's called The Land of the Living, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
And
Good project.
there's like the two tracks I'm about to pick are from that album because the album's
Right.
so great. First one is Rest on Us.
Mm.
Rest on us.
So there's not a lot that I have to say, bro. I've just never heard writing like that.
Yeah.
As the spirit was moving over the water, spirit come move over us. Like, what? I've never
What do you
even-
guys eat?
These guys are really reading Genesis. Like,
Yeah,
yo,
like,
that's crazy. They're
Getting revelation.
That's
Yeah.
crazy. Because the way I read Genesis is like, oh, it's just a story. Another story. There's nothing really to pick from here. But the fact that they based their whole song off
Yeah.
of that,
Mm-hmm.
it's incredible. And the second song off that album that I'm really listening to is what's it called?
I Just Love You.
I Just Love You. Yeah, I
We
just
talked
love you.
about this before.
Yeah. I think it's like track 7. I Just Love You. The intro alone with just the keys, like
the keys.
dun, 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 dun. That's probably like instant feel the presence of
Yeah,
God. Like
yeah.
wherever I listen to, I could be anywhere in the middle of
Yeah.
Rito. If you see me in the middle of Rito just crying with
Rito
earphones
is a
in,
mall in Canada, by the way.
don't just mind your business, please, because I'm going through something for real.
Oh my god.
Nah, that song just speaks to me so much because the phrase "I just love you"
Yeah.
is like that's so
Who
crazy.
says that?
That is so crazy
Yeah.
to me. So Upper Room, I'm huge fans of. Like those are two worship songs that I'm listening to like day and night right now.
I want to ask you guys about your songwriting process. You guys aren't okay. I'm gonna say this. I grew up on rap music.
Wait, what?
Don't judge me. I have brothers, so I really grew up on the Biggies and Tupacs and
And
stuff
Ja
like
Rule.
that. No,
No,
come on,
okay.
relax. But I grew up on rap music, and so I was constantly looking for Christian rap music. Not saying you guys are predominantly rap music. I'm just saying, like, I was constantly looking for rap music that would minister to me, and it was just to be very. I don't want to say this, but it's kind of cheesy, kind of corny. To be very honest, it was kind of corny. And you guys present music in such a creative way and so tailored to your audience and powerful and not corny. Like that to me is so inspiring. What's your songwriting process?
Okay, so I'll talk more on like that rapping sort of like
Right.
super culture stuff, and Mel could talk about all the awesome other stuff that we do. But when it comes to like rapping and just staying, and just representing Christian rap,
Right.
I had an epiphany about in 2018, and I was like, I just got into high school, and I was like, yo, I really want my friends to be on what I'm on, but they're just not. And I'm like, I need to help my friends, and I'm like, I can't go present them the Christian rap that I'm listening to right now because personally I don't really like it that much.
Wow.
So it's like I'm just listening to it out of obligation because it's the only rap that I could really listen to.
Yeah.
But then, when God spoke to me in that moment, he was like, I want you to go out and make Christian music cool.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is when Bridge is just starting. It's like
Right.
2017, 2018, a new team, a fresh thing. And I was like, okay, God, you want us to go make Christian music cool. And I was like, okay, so I looked at like the top 100 charts. And I was like, God, what's topping the charts right now?
Mm.
And I didn't see nothing Christian. Like nothing,
Wow.
nothing there was Christian. It was all heavy hitter tracks. Drake just dropped an album. This is going on. Tory Lanez is here. And I'm like, if this is what's charting the album, this is what people my age are listening to, then why can't we emulate the same thing, but really just sneak our message in there?
Wow.
You know
Sneak your message in there. I love that.
No, the thing about the Christian music that I was listening to at the time is, it's so great to be, super outspoken about what you believe in, but
Right.
knowing young people, they're not gonna hear what you're saying if you're just shoving Jesus down there.
Yeah.
The name of say Jesus, Jesus if you love him, Jesus if you love him. Hey, Jesus if nah, bro. We're not about to listen to that.
That's the corny rap I was talking about.
They want to hear about chasing the bag. They want to hear about I'm with my guys. They want to hear all that stuff. So I'm like, okay, this is really stuff that we go through. I'm really with my guys, and I'm trying to chase the bag too.
Yeah.
So just coming from somebody that's in the culture, I want to make Christian music from that perspective as opposed to looking into the culture. I was like, let's make it in the culture. Let's make it for the culture, in the culture. You know what I mean?
But how do you maintain that spirituality? Because I think there are two extremes. One, you're shoving Jesus down their throats, and the other, it's like, but there's nothing about God. But your project is spirit filled. So how do you still maintain that? Like,
I'll speak on this really quickly.
Yeah.
I find it so important to always be anchored. Because once you're anchored, you can't be shaken. It doesn't matter what you do. But if you have your anchor in Christ, like the Bible says, you can't really be shaken.
Right.
So I could be saying, I'm with my guys, I'm chasing a bag. Oh, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And I feel like where it gets misconstrued is when people's anchors start to shift. And it's like, okay, now the real reason why I'm making this is because I only want to talk about being with my guys. And I only want to... But if I'm anchored in the message that is spreading the gospel and doing this and doing that, it doesn't really matter what I'm talking about because it's going to shine through whether you like it or not.
So it's basically the spirit behind the song.
The spirit behind the song.
Right.
Because that's who does the transformation, the Holy Spirit. We can't do it by our lyrics.
Yeah.
Right.
The reason why it's resonating with these young people is because there's spirit behind it. You know what I mean?
It's powerful.
That's just my 2 cents on it.
Mel, I have to ask you, what's your songwriting process? Like, how do you... I think Reg kind of spoke about, Reg is Reggie, sorry guys. Reggie spoke about tailoring the sound for a specific audience. But how do you even get the sound out there? Like, what's the process of writing these songs?
What I really love about working as a team in Bridge Music is that every single song that we put out has its own individual story, and there's not one song that came out the same way as the other. There's not like a 1, 2, 3 step that we follow. But I think that what is consistent throughout our songwriting process is just the fact that we're really trying to push relationship instead of religion. So I feel like that is
powerful.
what separates our music from maybe other music you might be listening to that's Christian. We're not trying to push the agenda that you have to follow these set of rules and do these things a certain way to do that. But it's this is what it feels like to be in a relationship with God. These are true things that we go through, as we walk with God, as we, go through our daily lives, dealing with whatever we deal with as youth, but also having God on our side. And I think that just to run off of what Reg was saying earlier, if our goal is to, spread the gospel, we have to be able to explain God in a way that somebody who has never heard about God can understand it. So that kind of inspires us to never use a language that only people within the 4 walls of church would understand.
That's powerful.
So good.
I feel like that's something that kind of stays consistent with our songwriting process. I think it's just our intentionality. And obviously, we keep up with
what's going on.
Yeah.
Going on? Even as Mel was saying, that whole relationship aspect, I've had so many people come up to me like, oh, Reg, were you talking about a girl on Vulnerable? But the thing is, I'm talking about having my relationship with God. And sometimes, our relationship with God is like any other relationship that we have.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need awkward conversations.
Yeah.
Or sometimes, you don't really want to talk to God right now, because you're going through something, but you don't really want to show him like that. Or sometimes, we're calling out to God, but he's not really responding to us. So there's so many aspects to look at your relationship with God, and I feel like boxing it in one view and just that totally demeans what the gospel is.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I
That's
mean? If
powerful.
we're pushing relationship, then we have to
Yeah.
speak from relationship. That's
Yeah.
so good, Mel. That was great.
You guys sound like 60-year-old because I don't understand the level of wisdom you guys have. Again, at 18, 19, I was eating rice. Like there was nothing deep about me. And so that brings me to this question because honestly, you guys have so much depth, and there's pressures around you to party and to still be young, right? And not only are you guys artists, you're worship leaders, both of you guys, constantly managing the ministry aspect of worship. You're doing the worship artistry and the worship ministry. What are some of the challenges in balancing both, or even in both to begin with? What are the challenges you guys face as young people with grown minds but still young people? How do you balance that?
I think one of the biggest challenges, I don't know about you, Roger, for me is realizing that, as a leader, you're leading people through things that you are going through yourself.
That is so
Absolutely.
good.
At the same time. It's not as if you're way older than the people. Like there's some people
I've been through that,
like there's some people on team who are literally the same age as you. They're in
Like,
school with you, going through
Yeah.
exams with you.
classes with them.
Like
I have a class with Anisha. Like we're really
in the same situations.
Right.
And I think for me, one of the things I need to remind myself when I try to do my best to balance the both is just to remember that there is a level of sacrifice that I have to be ready to do, like to give. So I can't find myself like giving into certain things or slacking off in certain areas because that's going to reflect in the people that I'm trying to lead. And I feel like what's really important with leadership is that you have to lead by example.
That's
And
good.
so if I'm able to show like, hey, we're literally going through the same thing right now, and I know that it's hard, but look, like I'm able to do this and that. I hope that you're able to be inspired by that as well. I think also always leading from a place of compassion and understanding
That's
as
good.
well.
That's good.
Like never try to like judge somebody from like whatever they're going through. Like there might be a difficult situation that's like taking place, but try to understand why is it taking place. Try to talk to that person,
Right.
really invest in every single person. I don't know about you, Reg.
Nah, like you were saying, Mel, I feel like a challenge just within like the ministry aspect of it and leading a ministry, it's just the transparency and vulnerability you have to have with your team. Because I feel like so many leaders, they like to,
Yeah,
move
top
like they don't
down.
have any emotion.
Yeah.
Get right in place. Like,
Yeah.
it's like it's like they're immune to life.
Yeah.
But I feel like the most unique part and the most vital part is being like, no, like I'm really one of you guys. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
I feel like BM is so weird because like it's so unique because we're not like any other team. It's not like I'm coercing people like, oh, you
Yeah.
have to do this or you. No, we're really in this together. Like we're
Yeah.
really a
Yeah.
family. We share
Yeah.
we share trials together. We share
Yeah.
triumphs together. We
Yeah.
do everything
Yeah.
together. And having that transparency, and when people are reaching out to you and just being like, hey, I'm going through this. It's not, why are you going through that? Why are you even?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nah, it's really like, yo, I get you. Like
Yeah.
I'm really there too. Like, you
Been
know what I
there
mean?
too, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
girl, I've been there. I'm there. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just having that vulnerability with your team is just so essential. And I feel like leaders should never mask that off.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah.
embrace it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's what makes it so unique and so special. So
Yeah.
That's
it's a
so
challenge,
good.
but it's a blessing at the same time.
That's incredible because I think people don't understand the power of transparency in leadership. A lot of people just want to mask, as you said, you want to mask your problems, your issues, and that doesn't help anyone because
At all.
people read through that.
People
Like
go through stuff, man.
people
Like,
go through stuff and they just want to relate to someone.
Yeah.
Like my leader is going through
Yeah.
depression. Like I want to
Yeah.
learn how you're
Yeah.
dealing with this, just
Yeah.
like me. I was talking to you yesterday about
yeah.
this burnout creatively that I
Oh,
was
man.
feeling. I don't know. This seems like a therapy session, honestly.
We're working through some stuff. don't
We're
worry.
working through some stuff. And I noticed that a lot of us as creatives go through creative burnouts. It's kind of silent. We don't talk about it.
I don't.
I specifically me, I feel a lot of pressure because writing songs that are good is good,
Yeah.
but it's also bad because everyone is expecting a junior to that.
No, it's crazy for you because you have Yahweh under your belt.
Imagine writing Yahweh and having to make an album, an EP.
I want 7 Yahwehs.
I want. The other day I tweeted, I was inspired by.
Everybody follow Show on Twitter, please. Your Twitter's the best.
I tweet some. Guys, don't follow me. I tweeted the other day, like, Dante Bow's Voice of God inspired me. Like, the lyricism is just like ridiculous. And my dad, who's active on Twitter, I don't know why that man is on Twitter. He's like, I'm really inspired. I'm gonna go write a song. And he's like, Yahweh #2 or something like that. And I'm like, prophesy, haha. But that's a lot of pressure.
It's too much pressure.
It's a lot of pressure. How? I don't want to really talk about the pressure. I want to talk about the burnout. Like, how do you deal with creative burnout?
Let me get real open and transparent real quick. So we started quarantine, right?
Yeah.
We didn't really have any intentions on making anything because, let me be honest with you, we just dropped a 14-song album 2 months before.
Exactly.
Like, that album hadn't even lived its full course. But it's like, okay, it's already died. Quarantine's come. People forgot about everything.
Yeah.
So I find myself in this space. And I'm like, okay, God, I feel you speaking to me. I know you want to do something in this season.
Right.
So go ahead and do it. So I let God work through me, and it was so weird because we're coming off of Moth where the team was super involved and in writing and recording, but then we go to Vulnerable and it's like it's just me.
Yeah.
Because we're not really meeting as a team.
Yeah.
Songwriting sessions over Zoom aren't cutting it. It's like, yo.
And you have a studio at home.
Exactly.
So
and the mic's at home and we're just so I'm like, okay, God, you really want to do something. So literally every song that you hear are just the thoughts that I was having.
Yeah.
I was feeling so trapped. So the first song that I wrote was "Free Me," and I was like, okay, this is how we're going through it. And I was feeling down, and I was like, God, what do I even do in this moment? And then I wrote "Your Name," and then we're doing all these sort of things just based off of real life experiences that we're really going through. And I was putting so much effort and energy into that project, and we were like, okay, everything's on August 15th right now. Everything's on the date. So the date comes, it drops, and it's doing very well. And then I get back into the groove of trying to make music, and I'm wondering why nothing's clicking. And I'm like,
oh my gosh!
And I'm taking my phone,
right now.
I'm going to my notes. I'm like, hey God, what do you want to say? Yeah. And it's
those
just
moments, man.
It's just
crickets.
Yeah.
Crickets. You know what I mean? And I'm like, okay, God, maybe we're not supposed to write new songs. Maybe I'm supposed to, start making beats. Okay, so God, what do you want me to do in this beat? And just nothing's coming. God, any words you want to give me? Nothing. And I'm like, okay, hold on. So I go to Pastor Kof, and I'm like, yo, Kof, I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but nothing's coming. And he's like, bro, you're burnt out right now. I was like, what?
That's a
because
that's almost like a curse word.
Exactly.
For creators.
I'm like, that can never happen. What do you mean burnt out? We have unlimited supply of inspiration from the Holy Ghost, and you're telling me that I am burnt out. But it's not that, you're burnt out in your spiritual life.
Yeah.
It's literally just creatively.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
that's a huge difference.
It's so big, and it's something that people get misconstrued all the time. Because the way I feel that, God will give you the revelation behind a song that he wants you to write, but it's up to you creatively to really write that song. So what's happening is I'm not burnt out in my spiritual life, but creatively my mind is tired.
Right.
And I'm not used to that because we've been on go since Moth.
Yeah.
We've done 14 songs. We just did 8 songs on I'm ready. I'm like, yo, Vulnerable Volume 2 is about to be a wave. But then when we get to writing when I get to writing Vulnerable Volume 2, it's like nothing's coming.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, God, what do you want me to do in this season? And he's like, I want you to detach.
Wow.
I was so focused on BM the artists and not focused on BM the worship ministry that I was like, okay, I feel like I'm burnt out creatively, but that's not what it was. I was focused on the wrong thing in the wrong season.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's good.
I was focused on, we need to be artists, but I still have 20 people on a team that are coming on Saturday. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, so God, what do you want me to do? And he's like, I want you to detach from being an artist real quick and focus on the ministry aspect.
It's almost like a refueling.
That's exactly what it is. By the time Moth came out, it was just time that we needed to do an album. We needed to be artists in that moment. The ministry was at an all-time high. We needed to put out this sound that we were creating.
Yeah.
And still out of that same season, Vulnerable came out. So by this time, it's just dry. Like we need to go refuel real quick. We need to put the ministry back in number one and really focus in. And even in doing that, you know, we wrote so many amazing songs that are coming out on Vulnerable Volume 2. Like just detaching from being an artist and just focusing on the ministry and getting back on those FaceTimes with those people and getting back, you know, how are you and building it again because we've just been on go mode this whole time and just detaching from being artists for just 2 seconds and focusing back in on the relationships that we have in the ministry and just all that time in the ministry is birthing a new season of bridge music that we've never seen. So
it's all about understanding what season you're in, honestly.
That's all it is.
That's all it is.
That's literally all it is.
It's that simple. Mel, we were talking about this off air, and you were saying how like even songwriting for you is draining by yourself.
Yeah.
Can you speak on that?
Yeah, I've never gone through that before because really how the year started for me was a huge creative rush. I had just started learning instruments and that like opened a whole new realm of songwriting for me. And so at first I was really like going at it and, you know, I was just always writing by myself and also writing with the team. But then when quarantine hit, for some reason, nothing was coming through. And I was really confused because I had thought that I have all this time to myself.
Exactly.
I
feel you, girl.
Time to, you know, work on anything I want to work
Something
on.
pop
Improve on anything. I have all the time in the world. Like I can really take my time to make this like a banger. Like, but nothing is coming through. And I didn't realize that isolation was having an effect on me that I like didn't even take in. It was like a subconscious thing. Like I didn't want to do anything alone because I was alone all the time. You know, in the beginning we were really on locks. Like everything was closed.
Nobody was even touching outside. Like at the beginning of quarantine, nobody was touching outside.
Nobody was touching outside, and it was just I didn't know it affected me until like we were literally talking about it, and I realized like, hey, like wow, isolation actually has an effect on you. But I didn't want to do anything alone. And I only realized that when we started writing together again, collaboratively, and everything just started flowing again. Like,
I feel you.
We went on FaceTime and it was like in an hour, we're like, oh my gosh, we have like 3 songs in. Like the song is done.
Right.
And I didn't realize that it just was a matter of just knowing, like Reggie said, like what season I was in. Beforehand, I was always around other people, so it wasn't that hard for me to separate a little bit and write by myself.
Right.
But then where we were in isolation, that was the time that I actually needed to be with other people in collaboration. And
it's so weird as creatives, right?
No, it's so weird.
It's like things don't go as you expect them to.
Because I feel you, because I'm like, you know what? I'm by myself 24/7. I'm writing 70 songs. Like, like 75 songs are coming out in this season. And I probably wrote like 2. Like, honestly.
That's really how it is, though. It's so... Like, creators are just so weird.
It's weird, man.
Moments where you feel like isolation is the solution, the answer could probably be collaboration. And collaborative work sometimes is like, nah, it's not working for me because everyone has all these ideas and it's not working together. And you need to be by yourself. It's strange.
It's just reading the energy.
I think it's crazy. I think what creatives just like is just that option.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we don't like being boxed in anyway.
Yeah,
right.
That's true. That
just like the option is like, if I want to write with people, I can. But I feel like this one is a little bit more me.
And I think that's why isolation was messing with us so much because that was the only option.
That was
We were
writing
totally
by yourself. Right. That's incredible.
Crazy.
I'm going to ask you guys one more question. It might be the last one. Might not be the last one. We'll see. What inspires you in this season? Or who inspires you? Like how creativity for me, and I'm sure it's the same for you guys, requires inspiration.
It totally does.
Like again, we're gonna be obsessed with Dante Bow's Voice of God for the next like 3 months. But even in the things he was saying, like New York City streets, you could tell he's heard that before and seen this before.
It
And
was crazy.
you know what I mean? So like, of course the lyrics were inspired by real life events. But if your real life event is your bedroom, then it's hard to write. You know what I mean? So in isolation, how do you get inspired?
That is so good,
That's a really
Jules.
good
That is a
question.
great question. like you were saying, you know, when you're locked up, what can you really be inspired by? But I feel like switching your perspective will inspire you. Because I'm looking on the external, I'm looking like, yo, I can't even go anywhere. I can't even go through life to have a story to write about.
Right,
You know what I
right,
mean?
right.
But once I flipped that perspective, I was like, okay, but what am I feeling?
Mm.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What am I feeling in this? And that's actually how all of Vulnerable came out.
Right.
I was telling you guys, it was just my thoughts. My
Right.
thoughts were inspiring me. I was like, now I'm thinking about, you know, opening up to God even more and being more vulnerable with Him.
Right.
And even in that, that's how Vulnerable came out, because I was like, I feel like I'm not in this same space that I was.
Yeah.
And it's not that I had gone out and done anything to bring me to that spot so I can write about this story. It was nothing on the external. It was
Just
everything about the internal.
Right.
And I was like, I feel like I'm just not at that place that I was with God. I was like, oh, inspiration.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that's crazy. And that's how it was. So it was kind of like God was bringing me through life just by myself. Like, just I don't have to encounter anybody. I don't have to speak to anybody. But God is doing a work on the inside of me, which is just giving me inspiration. You know, I feel like so many times songwriters just get so caught up in, I have to go through a relationship to talk about this, or I have to go through a bad breakup to talk. No. How are you feeling?
Yeah.
What are you thinking right now? And
That's your truth.
that exactly.
That's your truth.
And emotion was such a big part of Vulnerable. Like the whole tape, emotion, because I feel like even as Christian singer and songwriters, we don't focus in on emotion enough. We just talk about spirituality and that's it. But how are you feeling in your spirituality? Like, how are you really feeling? Like, what do you feel right now?
Yeah.
Do you feel like you feel a bit abandoned by God right now, or do you feel like
Write about it.
that's what you write about?
That's
That
awesome.
all that internal. So that's how it is for me. I don't know about you, Mel.
For me, I feel like isolation has honestly made me realize that when it comes to inspiration, you really need to be open to be inspired by anything. Like, don't limit yourself or don't put a cap on what you think can inspire you. So, like, don't think like only other artists can inspire you, or like a life experience can inspire you. The other day, I was literally online shopping, and I saw this shirt, and I thought the graphics on the shirt were so sick. And so I had to make a set list, or the set and schedule for our bridge music for ministry, and I literally like copied the graphics from that to create the set list for like how I did it. And that I just something clicked. I'm like, wow, I can really be inspired by anything. And I feel like if I limited myself by like a certain kind of inspiration just because it worked for me in the past, that's where you kind of run into like,
that's
you know,
crazy.
a dead end kind of. So I feel like for me, or what I would say for anybody that's kind of like, okay, well, like, how do I get inspired in isolation? I'm limited. Don't think that you're limited. Like, open your mind to anything, you know? Open your eyes, open your ears. Like, look out for anything. You can be inspired by absolutely everything.
That's so good.
Everything.
That's amazing. It's been such an incredible time with you guys. I could sit here for the next 2 hours just hearing you guys talk, because you guys have such wisdom beyond your years, and you guys go stream all their projects. They are, truthfully, honestly, coming from someone who doesn't really like corny music, take it from me. These guys are incredibly talented and anointed at the same time. I love you guys so much, and I'm waiting for the next project because, I'm a super fan. But I have one more thing for you guys. We ask questions on here, at Worship Culture, Worship CLTR. DM us all your questions, follow us, all the good stuff. And I have a question here for you guys, if you don't mind answering. I'm sure the Saints will be glad that
Hallelujah.
superstars.
Hey,
Ilabashi.
Let it rise.
Let it rise. Okay,
Oh,
so I
man.
have a question here for you guys. How do you prepare yourself to minister? Because I can't find it, but I remember the question. But how do you prepare yourself to minister spiritually,
I'll
all
take
of
it
that
first.
good stuff?
No, you can take it first. I'll come at the end.
I mean, it seems obvious, but I'm going to say it like prayer.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Do not underestimate the power of prayer, because what's most important about when you're about to minister, whether it be, for worship leading, whether it be you're going to record something, whatever it is, you need to make sure that your spirit is aligned with whatever God wants to do.
Right.
Because like Reg was saying earlier, it's really the spirit behind everything that actually makes a difference. You can have all the giftings and anointings in the world, but if the spirit's not moving, then nothing's actually going to happen, right? So it's through prayer and through consistent prayer, actually, I should say. Through consistent prayer, not just like, last
off
minute,
and on.
but consistent prayer is where I feel like is the most important thing to prepare. And then obviously you do the practical things as well. So, know your set list, know the lyrics,
Yes.
know the
lyrics. We need that on a t-shirt.
Yeah, know the lyrics.
We need Alpha to come.
He's just calling names now. That's crazy.
No, when it comes to me, I'm a bit different. So obviously prayer, yes.
Yeah.
I
do something else.
I was definitely about to say. What do you
definitely like.
I just meditate.
So I just close my eyes. I definitely believe you can't bring anybody to where you haven't been yourself.
Yeah.
So you want to bring them to the presence of God. You better be soaked in the presence of God.
Right.
You have no choice.
Yeah.
You have no choice. You can't come up here thinking that it's just I'll just go on. It's just singing. No, it's not singing.
Yeah.
No.
You're not appealing to their physical. You're appealing to their spiritual.
Right.
But that's just a side. One thing that I always do before ministering, and I kind of told the team this. I don't really like to talk to a lot of people too much. I usually tell them like, yo, next 10 minutes just lock in. Don't really be out there. Don't really go to the bathroom. Don't do this. Don't just stay focused. We have a task to do.
Yeah.
And what that does, it kind of just prepares your spirit for what you're about to do. Like it brings all that prayer that you did into action. So now it's like that switch from the physical into the spiritual happens in that 10-minute or 5-minute break where you're just silent before God. You're just getting ready. So I always have that lock-in time. It's like no matter what happens, I don't care who's talking to me. I'm sorry. I'm just in my zone right now. Like I'll talk to you after. Or I won't really check my phone. Just distractions. Just stay focused on the goal because you came there for something. So that's
Sewa moment.
You know what I mean?
What an awesome way to end season 10. I am so happy that I got to speak to these young people about songwriting, about, worship leading, because they do both. I really hope you guys have learned so much from this podcast episode and this season as a whole. I appreciate every last one of you guys. Stay tuned for a few things that's going to be coming up. I have some playlists for you. I think I'm going to put all the songs from every episode together in a playlist. I'm thinking of some devotionals. Of course, shop at worshipculture.ca for your clothing and all of that good stuff. So many surprises are coming as well. We have season 2 coming up, and we're going to be on YouTube. We're going to have some video podcasts. It's exciting. I have a few guests that I'm excited for you guys to hear from. I love you guys. I say that all the time, but I really mean it. And I'm really, really, really grateful that you guys tuned in. If you weren't listening, this podcast would be useless. So thank you so much. Have an amazing year. Go back and listen to some of these episodes and, relearn some of the things that you learned in the past. And if you haven't caught up with some of the episodes, please catch up on them and, send us some DMs. We're still going to be answering questions. We're still going to be interacting with you guys. Follow Worship Culture. Worship Culture is Worship CLTR on Instagram. Again, love you so much, and I will see you next season. Bye.